Hello, I just started a new knit project a couple of days ago, actually on Valentine's Day, and I'm wrapping up the collar and I just have a couple of rows left to work before I can merge it and create the actual folded collar. So I thought I would start this video by kind of explaining what my vision is for the finished sweater. Actually, it's a bit embarrassing, but the whole idea behind this sweater is that I wanted something to match my Trader Joe's tote bag, you know, this one, so something that kind of goes with it. So my plan is to have a standing folded collar. Here's another sweater that I actually just finished recently to show you the style. So this is pretty much it, but then my zipper here is going to be this blue one. It's not exactly the right shade of blue because I bought them separately, but should be fine anyway. I mean, it's too late now, so I'm just gonna go with it. And it is a raglan sweater, except this time I'm not going to do it all in one color. I'm thinking of doing baseball style color blocking where the sleeves are both going to be blue and then the front and back sections of the raglan are going to be a cream color that's the same as the bottom of that sweater and as the main fabric of the tote bag. And I'm just going to knit it plain. Sleeves are completely blue, body is completely cream, and then at the end I'll go back with duplicate stitch. And I also haven't designed this part. I'd like to add a little color work chart in the center of the chest. I've been super excited about working on this project. I'm also going to do that zipper lining technique where you don't merge the two layers of the collar together perfectly when you're ready to fold it. You leave these few open, and that way you can insert the zipper in the side and pick these up later, so you can work a little lining knit strip. Also, maybe let me explain what the hell I'm doing. So basically this is the collar. It's going to be folded in half. I am merging the last working row with the provisional cast on row, so it's going to sit basically like this, where the yellow strip is my cast on row. And basically to determine the number that I needed to cast on, I just measured my neck in centimeters. Using my gauge swatch, I converted that into how many stitches that corresponds to, and then I rounded it up to the closest multiple of 16. The reason for it having to be a multiple of 16 is that my raglan proportions that I like is to have 1/8 for each sleeve and then 3/8 of whatever stitches you have around the collar be the front and the back. And because that 3/8 at the front needs to be split down the center front, it also needs to be a multiple of 2. So in total, your neck circumference has to be a multiple of 16. To determine the kind of raglan that you like, you kind of need to make a few and see how they fit. But yeah, that's basically what I have, and then I worked it up for about 15 centimeters just because my neck height is about 7.5. So since you're gonna fold it on a horizontal axis, you need it to be about twice your neck height. So just finishing it because I keep yapping and not working on my knit, so I haven't made much progress. So I just finished the collar and I'm going to zoom you in and show you guys how I merged the last working row with the provisional cast on and how I removed the cast on chain, the yellow part. Finishing on a wrong side row so that now that I'm working here, when I fold the collar like this to work my knit two togethers between the stitches on the last row that I just worked and the corresponding cast on stitches on the provisional chain, I can have these blue bumps facing me like that. Because otherwise you would kind of have to, if it were on the other side, you would have to reach over kind of like this to pick up those stitches and do the knit two together, which isn't that big of a deal, but I prefer doing it that way. And so I don't think I told you, but I actually cast on 80 stitches here. And what I did is that as I was picking them up through the back loop of that yellow chain, I actually already put them on hold on an extra scrap piece of yarn because I know that that's where they're gonna sit for the next few days while I work the yoke until I get to the point where I need to knit that lining. And the reason that I isolated 5 of them is because that's pretty much how much I need to cover up that little flap of extra fabric on the zipper with this needle size and this yarn size. And I do that because in the previous couple quarter zips that I made, I was struggling a bit to identify which one was the first one at the very start. And if you don't merge them perfectly with the last cast on row, it's not dramatic, but you will have an offset and you'll need to cast one on that little lining strip, just because the math doesn't add up. But that's where I'm at. So right now what I'm going to do is flip it here. This is the side that I'm going to start working at, and I'm just going to align them like this, and then I'm going to knit the first 5, and I'm going to leave these ones on hold, and that's going to create a little opening through which we can insert the zipper later on like this. And then after those 5, I'm going to knit together each stitch with the corresponding cast on stitch so that I can close it. And once I reach the final 5, so after 75 or 70 stitches knit 2 together, I'll just stop doing that and knit these last 5 ones on their own. And that'll be it for the junction of that folded collar, and then we'll tug on the tail of the yellow chain and remove it completely. So this is the point in the garment where you truly start to have a right side and a wrong side. So it's super important to ensure that those stitches that you created, that you already put on hold, end up being on the wrong side. So they should be on the purl side, right? Because otherwise it means the lining is going to show up on the front of the fabric. So I'm just going to start doing that. I'm stopping the work in 1x1 rib, and now I'm switching to just _Knit. And so I'll just knit across those 5 first stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that 6th one, I'm gonna grab the cast on row. I'm gonna find the last stitch that was put on that little extra piece of scrap yarn. So that's the last of the 5 that I need to not touch right now, which means the next one I need to merge is this one right here. So I'm just going to place my working needle over the top, and I'm gonna go through the front loop here like this, knitwise, and I'm gonna grab that loop, and then with my tail I'm just gonna knit them 2 together. So this is a bit finicky, but you can stretch whatever you need with your other hand, and I'm gonna keep doing that until I get to the last 5 stitches. I'm for sure going to give my hands and wrists a good stretch after I'm done with this one because it causes a bit of strain. Okay, and now I only have 5 left, so I'm just going to knit across them without merging them with the corresponding cast on stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now for the satisfying part. I'm gonna find the end of this that was the one that was not the start of the chain. And I'm gonna undo that little loop that was blocking it from coming undone, and now I can just tug on it and hopefully, oh there we go. Now I can check the little stitches that were on hold. And we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I have my collar all merged. The next row is going to be a setup row, placing the different markers and placing the skeins of yarn for the collars of the front, the sleeves, and then the back. And then I'll be working increases while working the collar block while doing some German short rows. These are the yarns I'm using, by the way. I just cut my yarn because it's not the same batch as these 2 that I bought for the sleeves. And then basically I'm gonna be working with, I think, how many is it gonna be? I think it's gonna be 5 skeins at once, which may be a bit of a struggle. I'm not a professional, but this is what I want to do for my intarsia, just to make sure that they're all the same batch at once and that there's no issues when I go in the round. The next step is going to be dividing the raglan sections. So there's going to be 1 for the back, 2 for the sleeves, and then 2 halves of the front. So 5 in total. What I did is that for one of these skeins, I actually put a good portion of it on hold on a piece of cardboard, and I'm going to be using it to work the front end. When I can connect these two together at the front, it'll be exactly the same skein, so I'm sure that it's the same color. And here I have 80 stitches, and as I said, I like to do 3/8 for the back and the front, so that's 30 stitches, which means I'm going to have 30 for the back and then 15 here on either side for the center front. For the front, split at the center, and then 1/8 for the sleeves, which is 10 stitches. So starting here, I'm going to purl 15 stitches in white, 10 stitches in blue, 30 stitches in white, 10 stitches in blue, and the remaining 15 in this cream color as well. I mean, that's what I've been calling white, but it's really a cream color. I also have stitch markers, not that I really need them because there's going to be the color separation, but I'll just add them for good measure, I think. I've only ever done this kind of color blocking on a raglan once before, when I did a Malibu Barbie inspired top sweater. I like to do a center pull on these ones, just because they're so huge. This is what I have now. I'm actually gonna have to rewatch a Intarsia color working technique tutorial because I don't remember how it works. I know I have to twist them around some way. I don't remember. But basically, now that I'm here, I'll work my raglan increases on the knit sides only. That's the rate that I like to do, because if I do it every row, first of all, I don't like making the increases purl side, and also it becomes too big for me. Whereas if I do it every other row, that's the perfect rate to match my body shape. Might be different for different people. If you're like super muscular, or you have really broad shoulders, or you're a bit on the bigger side, then every row might be better. But here, that's what I'm gonna do. I need to place the start and end markers for my German short rows. But basically I'm going to place my raglan increases just before the last of each color and after the first. So here I'll have a make one right here, knit this one, do the twisty thing for the Intarsia, knit this one in blue, make one left here, work across in blue, and then same thing for the next section. Just finished my short rows, and this is what I have. So you can see these little blue portions are going to sit on the shoulders, and then the front and back are cream colored. I tried it on and I just realized that I wanted to make this oversized, but I went with exactly the stitch count for my neck circumference, so it's a bit tight. I'm not the kind of person to undo my work when I've put this much time and effort into it, so I'm just gonna go with it. I think with the blocking, it'll give me at least a couple centimeters extra for more room, so it doesn't feel like it's choking me. But also, honestly, my knitting projects are more about the knitting than they are about getting to wear the finished garment. So if this is too small, I'm sure I have a couple friends that would be happy to adopt this little guy. I really like this baseball style, and if I were to make it in red and cream, it would be like a Sue Sylvester style sports jacket, and I think that would be pretty sick. So maybe for another project I'll do that. But that's where I'm at for today. I think I'm gonna stop. It's lunchtime. I spent pretty much the entire morning working on this, and I'm just gonna go to the gym, and then I'll catch you whenever I keep working on this. The next step is to keep increasing the yoke straight down, still working flat and not joining it in the round, until the center front opening here is long enough to cover my zipper entirely. So I have a good like 15 more centimeters here to work the yoke and then I'll join it in the round. I'll have to rewatch those videos on how to work intarsia in the round because I don't remember. Good morning. It is March 2nd and I have only now just finally reached enough length in the center front split for it to cover up the sides of my zipper. So it's time to join it in the round. Working intarsia is just so time consuming, so I've been working like 2 to 4 rows a day. So now I'm just going to cast on 1 stitch in the center to cover the width of that little metal thing here. That way it won't pucker in a weird way in the center. And I'm not counting my stitches anyway because I don't really need it for the rest of the pattern, but now I'm going to have to do that and then continue working the yoke. Oh, my needles are critically overcrowded, by the way. I only have 1 other pair of 4mm needles and I need to use them on another project at the moment, so I'm gonna keep working until I really can't do it anymore. But yeah, handling the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different skeins that I'm working with at the same time, like detangling them every time I finish a row, is really time consuming. I don't think it would be less time consuming if I had used the smaller ones where you wrap them around a little piece of cardboard like this, because it's pretty much the same actions that I need to do. But that's where I'm at. Gonna join it in the round, and intarsia in the round is basically just intarsia worked flat because you do need to work it on the right and the wrong side. I think what I'm gonna do is work the yoke in the round a little bit, and as soon as I have my other needles free, I'll work the lining section, the 2 strips on either side, and I might connect them, like do 2 strips on either side of the collar on the inside, and then join them and do a little like a triangle shape to stitch it down, just because I've never tried and I think maybe it would be more professional looking on the inside, but that's pretty much where I'm at. So here I had finished on this side like this, and I used the skein of yarn that I had for this portion to cast on 1 stitch, and then so these are not connected. Then I snipped, I just cracked it with my hands and I slipped all of the stitches from the front left panel onto the needle. That way I won't have the start of the round right here, because otherwise it's going to create a 1 stitch offset where this side is going to be like 1 row longer. So I'm just shuffling these, and then my new beginning of round is going to be here. I'll place a marker, and then for intarsia in the round, I'm going to have to work it as if it were flat, going on the knit side and then flipping it over, working in the round on the wrong side, the purl side, just because I need to be able to do that little signature twisty thing for the intarsia. It's the next day and I got the worst case of pink eye. I'm just gonna knit for a little bit, starting the intarsia in the round. I just watched a tutorial, which I'm gonna link in the eye thing or whatever, and yeah. Hey guys, it's March 6th. This is how much I've knit since that center front split. So we're still pretty far from being done with the yoke, but since my stitches are so crowded, this technique takes forever to work up a piece of fabric. I feel like it's pretty good. I am going to measure actually how deep I want my raglan to be to reach my armpit, because I have no idea, and I feel like this sweater is a pretty good example. So just have my measuring tape here, and I feel like it should go from the base of my neck to pretty much there, and then I'll cast on a few stitches underneath. So that's like 25 centimeters. Maybe I should 26 just to be sure. I'm at 16 and I have 10 more centimeters to go to finish my yoke. Hello, it's March 14th, so I haven't worked on my sweater for the past few days, but my eyes are completely cured. I'm doing much better. I've decided to take a little break to work on a bonnet in this yellow yarn. I love that people are making so many bonnets. It's such a cute little quirky accessory, and I find it really fun that they're like a cool thing now. So I'm going to freehand a bonnet. I'm just randomly casting on, I think 6 stitches, and then I'll do a scalloped edge all around and 2 little tying things. That's what I have for now. I don't know if it's big enough. Maybe a little more, and then I'll just knit a little rectangle to sit at the top, and I'll mirror all of this and do decreases on the other side, so it's just gonna look like a rectangle with 2 triangles that wrap around. And then I'll do eye cords, I think, at the ends here in the same color, and then that should make a bonnet. So today's March 16th, so it's officially been over a month that I've been working on this project, and this is where I'm at. So I just reached the point where I'm going to be able to separate the sleeves from the body in my raglan, because that diagonal seam here measures 26 centimeters, which is what I chose visually based on that other sweater that I like, but you saw the clip. And so I think what I want to do, I've never tried this like pace of working on a garment before, but I think I'm gonna keep the big needles and work the body at the same time as I start working on the sleeve with my other set of 4mm needles, which has a slightly shorter cable. Basically, I have 2 issues that happen to me at each of these parts in the garment. Lately, I've been getting really bored working on the body, and I know that this is like a cream tube that I'm gonna have to knit for like at least 100 rows. I feel like if at the same time I also do the other boring task of working on the sleeve, I can switch between the 2, maybe in each session or every few days, and that way I make progress and I don't get bored of the portion that I'm working on. I feel like that might motivate me. So I'm gonna test it out for the first time today. I'll let you know how it works. And for my sleeves, the way I've been liking doing them lately is to just from the arm side to the elbow knit a straight tube, and then from the elbow to the wrist decrease 4 points around the evenly spread around the circumference, and decrease by 4 every 10th row, so that it decreases in like a cone, in a perfect cone shape instead of just underneath, because I really don't like that look. And then I'll have a loose fit around the wrist, which I find is much better, and work enough 1x1 rib to cover the first like quarter of my thumb. And then with blocking, it'll stretch, I think, to the second knuckle, which is where I like my sweaters to sit. And I will do an Italian tubular bind off as well, which is one of my favorite things to do on a garment. Okay, so it's the next morning and I can finally try it on. I did a few rows last night, I don't know if you can see. There's about 10 of the blue and 5 or so of the cream. And this is what we're looking at. I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. It is not nearly as oversized as what I was thinking, but that's my fault for not casting on enough stitches around the collar, but I think it's going to be a perfect fit for me. It's March 21st and I just finished this little number. It's pretty cute. It's a bit itchy under the neck. I have a problem with wool, which is pretty ironic because I only work with wool. I don't know, I kind of like it. This is where I'm at today. I haven't been doing those 5 rows each every single day because I didn't realize how big of a time investment that would be, but I'm working on it slowly, and I am happy to report that the strategy of working on both at the same time is working out great for me. Maybe it's something about the way my brain works, I don't know, but it does keep you, it gives you the excitement of working on 2 different projects, but you're actually making progress on the same one. Oh my god! after a little weekend trip. I finished that cream skein here. So I think I just need a second one and it should be long enough. And then I am still working on the first sleeve, and yeah, I'm about elbow length. I just did the first round of decreases. Yeah, I think it's April 9th. And I'm just finishing my first sleeve. Almost done with the ribbing. Trying to get the length to match the height of the collar. I had to stop a bit shorter than I initially planned, but I think it's gonna be just right after I block it. It should extend all the way down to here. I find it easier to work the second one always, just because this one I went into it kind of blind. I didn't know how many rows I was gonna need to reach the elbow length, and then how many rounds of decreases I was gonna need to get to the desired length. And then with the ribbing and stuff, it's not exactly, I think, the same height as the collar, just because I had to stop because I was running out of yarn. But this entire sleeve was pretty much exactly one skein of yarn. This is literally how much yarn I have unused. I'm gonna save this one to use as like a scrap piece of yarn to put stitches on hold for future projects. And so yeah, I'm not sure I'll finish this by the end of the month. Probably sometime into May is more realistic, but hopefully by then I'll start working on the little color work. I think I finally settled down for a design.
Je pense qu'il a un petit panier là, ouais, c'est trop mignon.
Just weaving my ends in. And here's my little sweater finished with the zipper installed. Well, this is just the base, but the tension is still pretty uneven. So what I'm thinking of doing is wet blocking it one first time, just to expand it to the right dimensions. Because as you can see, I stopped the sleeves a bit shorter just so that I would have some room to block it. And then once I have it nice and flat and all clean, I'll weave in some threads to mark out the back area where I want to work my chart, and I'll doodle something on stitch fiddle, and then I'll get embroidering. Maybe I'll add a little something at the front. I feel like it would be cute if there was like a tiny apple over a star or something. I'm just gonna make a few comments over the clip of me trying the final garment on. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I genuinely think it's the best sweater I've ever made in my knitting career so far. Thank you for sticking with me until the end of the video if you did. If you have any feedback to help me improve my videos, I would absolutely love to hear it, so please leave it in the comments. I'm still not sure what to include, how much detail to go in, so it is really helpful. But other than that, wishing you a lovely day, and I'll see you around in my next video, which might not be in Canada anymore.